If I ask this question to all of you, can any one of you stand up and tell me what is the purpose of your life? There was a similar question once asked by Sadhuji, who met a young man who was pursuing his graduation like him. He was pursuing his undergraduate course. The Sadhuji meets the young man on the road and he's asking the young man, "Son, what are you doing?" The young boy said, "I am studying." He said, "Why? Why are you studying?" He said, "I want to get a degree." He said, "Why do you want to have a degree?" The young man said, "What a silly question. I want to get a degree because I want to get a job." "But why do you want to do a job?" "Well, I want to do a job because I want to earn loads of money." "Why do you want to earn loads of money?" "Well, I want to get married, I want to live a life." The Sadhuji asked, "Why do you want to live a life?" Young man did not know what to answer. "Why do you want to live a life?" The young man did not know. He said, "Sadhuji, I cannot die. I can't die, so I have to live." What a pity. The Sadhuji said, "Young man, we are not here to die. You are not here to live a normal life. You are not here to live a life to earn a job and earn loads of money. You are here for a much bigger, larger, much expanded purpose in your life, which is much larger than getting a job, earning loads of money, making loads and loads of wealth." So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not decided your purpose yet, go back home today. Think about it. What is the purpose of my life? Edward Salk, who invented the polio vaccine, people asked him, they told him, "Patent it, you will make millions of money." And he invented polio vaccine at a time when millions of children were dying of polio. There were more people dying of polio than dying of cancer. It was an epidemic. He invented polio vaccine. And people and journalists asked him, "Who is going to own the patent of polio vaccine?" He said, "The people of this world." The journalists were surprised. They said, "Why? You will make millions of money. You are the inventor of polio vaccine." His reply was, "Can you patent the sun? Can you patent the moon? Can you patent the stars? How can I patent something which belongs to the humanity? I cannot patent it, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot patent it. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the humanity." Well, I'm not advising you not to patent your inventions, but I am saying invent something which has a social purpose, which has a larger purpose, which has a bigger purpose, like Edward Salk, who invented polio vaccine, which cured polio, which has made this earth free from this deadly disease called polio. I urge upon you to have a much bigger purpose than just getting a job, making loads of money, getting married and living happily forever. You haven't come here for that. You have come here for a much larger and bigger purpose. It's not theory, it's real. Nature is teaching us every day. There was a father and a son who went to the top of the mountain. Ladies and gentlemen, let's understand how is nature so powerful and what can it teach us. They went to the top of the mountain. On top of them was only the pure sky, the blue sky, the clouds. In the mountains there were only trees. It was quiet, lonely. Nobody else were there other than the father and the son. Both of them were walking, they're walking on the mountain. After some time, the little boy, who's very small, doesn't know much about science, doesn't know much about this world, fell down and then cried, "Ah!" On top of the mountain, the little boy falls down and he cries, "Ah!" There was an echo. There was a big response which comes from somewhere in the mountain which says, ah. The little boy did not understand. Who said this? Ah. Then the little boy screamed, he said, who are you? There was a response from somewhere in the mountain. Who are you? The boy was a little angry. He said, stupid, come in front of me. There was a response from the mountains, from the trees. Stupid, come in front of me. The boy was this time very angry. He said, idiot, how can he talk behind my back? Come in front of me. There was a very irritated, aggressive voice that came back and said, hey, stupid idiot, how can you talk behind me? Come in front of me. The boy was helpless. He told his father, Dad, what's happening? What's going on here? Who is this? The father looked at the little boy and smiled and said, look, this is your echo. But the more important thing is what is the nature teaching us today. He said, my dear son, can you please tell at the top of your voice, mountains, trees, I love you. The little boy said that. Mountains, trees, I love you. Father said, tell them, I care for you. The little boy said, I care for you. There was a response, I care for you. There was a response, I love you. There was a response, I like you. The boy was surprised. The father asked him, what is nature teaching you, my dear son? Nature is teaching you one thing. If you give suffering to people, you will get suffering. If you abuse people, you will get abused. If you give love, you will get love. If you give sympathy, you will get sympathy. If you give care, you will get care. That's the law of the nature. But all of us only want, we do not want to give. The famous scientist Einstein says, all the miseries of this world comes from one thing. It comes from our self-centeredness. The blazer that I'm wearing has been stitched by somebody else. The food I'm eating has been cooked by somebody else. The house I'm living in has been constructed by somebody else. The road I'm walking on has been constructed by some engineers. The book I'm reading has been written by somebody else. Ladies and gentlemen, my life depends on somebody else. But when it comes to somebody else, I just run away. I move away. I disappear because I don't want to do anything for somebody else. I only want to do for myself. All the miseries that I am passing through, that I am going through, is because I want only for myself. I only want good marks. I only want to do well. I only want to be the first person to get a job. I only want money at the cost of everybody else. The moment I say day, it presupposes the existence of night. The moment I say, vice, it presupposes the existence of virtue. The moment I say I, it presupposes the existence of others. The louder I say I, the louder it presupposes the existence of others. I has no meaning without others, without my environment. So, ladies and gentlemen, the purpose in life is to live a life for others, not for myself. So how do I live a life for others? How do I live a purposeful life? For that, I need to develop something called attachment. What is an attachment? If you think about water, if you drop water on the ground, what happens, boys and girls? What happens? Can anybody tell me? It flows down, isn't it? When you're igniting fire, what happens, my dear friends? What happens?
Goes up.
You see the flames going up. Yes or no? So what is the need of water? Water wants to flow down because it wants to merge with the ocean, which is its source. It wants to go back to the source. The fire, the flames go up. Why do they want to go up? Because they want to attach themselves. The fire wants to attach itself with the sun, which is its source. What is our attachment? What is the attachment of the human being? What is the crying need for attachment of the human being? Atma has an inherent urge to merge with Paramatma. Like the flames want to merge with the sun, like the water wants to merge with the ocean. Similarly, Atma, each one of you has an urge to attach. It's the law of nature. It's the law of nature. Flames will never go down. Water will never go up. And you will never want to attach yourself anything other than the Paramatma, because that's the inherent desire of the Atma inside you. If it is clouded, the sun ray cannot fall on the earth. Similarly, if your mind is clouded with negative thoughts, your inherent desire to merge with the Supreme Soul will only get disrupted, but the inherent desire exists all the time. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to talk to you about 3 attachments. Attach yourself with the parents. If you are not attached to your parents, if you believe I am not attached to my parents but I want to become a good human being, I am telling you cannot become a good human being. You have to be attached to your parents. Go back to the roots. Go back to your creation. Flames want to merge with the Supreme Sun. You need to be attached to your parents. There was a young man from America who came to my spiritual guru, Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra, and he asked his guru, Guruji, I hate my mother. I don't like her. Sri Thakur replied, I love my mother. At the top of his voice, the young man said, I hate my mother like anything. Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra replied, I love my mother like anything. The young man repeated, I hate my mother like anything. Sri Thakur replied, I love my mother like anything. Young man said, Thakur, I also want to love my mother, but I don't know how to love her. Years of misunderstanding, months and months of misunderstanding had created a breach between the two, had created a gulf between the two. The young man said, I want to love my mother. Teach me. Thakur said, your love will teach you how to love your mother. So the first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, attachment to your parents. The second attachment is attachment to the teacher. If you think, I am not going to be attached to my teacher, I have Google Acharya. I can Google everything and then find everything. I don't have to be really attached to the teacher. And I'm telling you with my experience, you cannot become successful in life. Be attached to your teacher. Like this RJS college, there was also a prestigious university in the United Kingdom. Once upon a time it used to be a school. The teacher who established that school became very popular in a few years because his school was the center of learning. Hundreds and thousands of children from different parts of the country came to his school to study there. The school became so popular, the king of the country wanted to come to the school and pay a visit. He wrote a letter. He asked the teacher to come to organize the visit so that the king can come to the school. The teacher sent a reply to the king. He said, Your Majesty, let me know when you want me to come to your palace. I will come to your palace and explain everything about the school. The king replied, saying, no, 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 no. I want to come to your school. You don't have to come here. I want to see the school that you have built. The teacher replied again, Your Majesty, anytime, any day, any moment you want me to come, I will come to you, Your Majesty, explain everything about the school. This time the king was angry. He said, I want to come to his school, and this, how audacious this man is. He's saying, he will come to my palace and explain everything. He has become very arrogant and proud. He said, call him in, ask him to come to my palace. I will teach him a lesson. The teacher goes to the king with folded hands, bows down before him. The king was angry, arrogant, upset, not happy with him. He said, why the hell? You refuse my entry, my visit to the school. I wanted to come to your school. What's your problem? The teacher says, Your Majesty, the day you come to my school, I will stand in front of the gate, holding a bouquet in my hand, and I will bow down at your feet when you visit my school. My students cannot accept this. For my students, their teacher is the most supreme human being in this world. There is nobody more superior than their teacher. There is nobody who is more majestic than their teacher. There is nobody who is more dignified a personality than their teacher. Their teacher is the most dignified, most supreme personality for them. The moment they see their teacher bowing down before another person and offering a bouquet with folded hands, they cannot accept that, Your Majesty, that day, and they cannot accept this. The king understood the essence of this. He understood the essence of the power of the teacher. He understood the meaning of this. And this school later on became one of the best institutions in the country and became a great university where every student from every part of the world is aspiring to be there and to study there. That's the Guru Sisya Parampara in our country. The teacher is the most supreme personality. My dear students, never forget that. But my dear teachers, uphold to the standards. Adhere to the standards. Live up to the standards. If the student believes that you are the most supreme personality, you have to live up to that expectations. In your character, in your behavior, in your habits, in every aspect of your life, you need to live up to that. What is the next one? The next attachment has to be to the living ideal. A living ideal. A guru in life. Like you have a teacher to learn mathematics, like you need a teacher to learn English, like you need a teacher to learn language, you also need a teacher who can guide you how to live your life. A living ideal at the center of your life. Like Arjuna had Lord Krishna, like Hanuman had Sri Ram, like Shivaji had Guru Ramdas, like Chandragupta had Chanakya, like Swami Vivekananda had Lord Ramakrishna Paramahansadev. All of us need that living ideal at the center of our life. A living ideal who can guide us in every aspect of our life. Ladies and gentlemen, probably nobody will teach us about this essence. But there is no formula to success without being attached to your parents, without being attached to a teacher, without being attached to a living ideal. A man came to my living ideal, Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra, and asked him, tell me your philosophy in 2 words. And he replied, be concentric. He said, be concentric around whom? Sri Thakur replied, be concentric around your living ideal. He said, oh, my living ideal. So what happens if Henry Ford is my living ideal? The famous automaker in the US. What happens? He becomes my living ideal. Sri Thakur said, if he becomes your living ideal, you cannot become a Jesus Christ. You cannot become Lord Krishna. You cannot become Lord Rama. You cannot become Muhammad Rasul. You cannot become Guru Gobind. You can only become Henry Ford. The bigger is your ideal. The larger is your ideal. The more elevated is your ideal. The more elevated is your life. There is no other formula to success other than being attached to your parents, being attached to a teacher, and being attached to a living ideal. There is no other scientific formula which can bring you success and prosperity and happiness and growth in life. I wish you all the best as you begin your journey, as you start a new phase in your career, as you start a new phase in your life. May you be endowed with success and happiness. May your life become prosperous. Thank you very much.